Good morning and welcome to SimWorld. Today, August 27th. We've got a schedule programming change this week. Rick Blaze filling in for Sniper J here on a Wednesday morning. Good morning, Rick. How are you?
It's a very good morning indeed. I'm doing fantastically well.
Fantastic. Look, that's a great way to start. Real quick shout out to the merch department. We've got our Jalen Snow shirt on. I know Rick has got he's got all of you've got some merch, but it's
I have
somewhere.
a cup. Where's my mug? I have a mug.
You got a mug. You mean mug,
I have
and
a post-up mug.
you got a mug for your mug. But shout out to all the merch team. Go get your stuff. I think they might have, thank God, took down the hideous Marsh Pod shirt. So if you have one of those, you have.
I'm getting the flip flops this next. Like I need those.
So
slides.
you can walk all over me. That's what it is, huh? That's what you want to do. That's that grind set that you got. I gotcha.
You're picking up what I'm putting down.
I gotcha. All right, so we got plenty to talk to. We are going to talk a little bit of the old AFC South rivalry, which isn't really a rivalry because there's one team that's clearly better. And we're also going to talk a little bit about what's the landscape of college basketball look like. But first, let's talk Merka because this story doesn't go anywhere. Yesterday came out that through CBS that apparently Coach Mooney said, hey, the starting spot was still his to have. He just wanted to see him work for it. And we don't know if that's still the case, if it's still his starting spot to have, or if he's lost that opportunity. But Rick, I want to start off with saying this. Yesterday, I did the show, and I talked about Merka, and I have to be honest, I'm a little disappointed that I talked about it then, because the actual time allowed me to think a little bit more, and made me realize just how foolish and continuously idiotic this entire saga is from Merka's standpoint. I continue to not understand why this kid is acting the way he is with seemingly no respect for his head coach that brought him in. I'm not here to argue about, well, he said you were going to start. Every coach is going to say that you're going to start. They want you in the building. They then want you to prove that you should start. Like, just because I say you're going to start doesn't mean you should just get to start no matter. Like, if you lay an egg, guess who's not going to start? You. I cannot believe this, and, it continues to just baffle me that this is how somebody chooses to carry themselves into public light. Especially a kid, I should say.
We're in the age of information, and kids nowadays assume that they know just as much or more than adults do.
Yeah.
Because they have all information to them, and those information in which they get it from is considered fact because they saw it with their own two eyeballs. So whether it's actually legit or not, the fact that I can see it and that it goes with what I believe in, it has to be correct. So specifically to the Merka situation, I think it's a murky situation. I think there's a little bit of blame on both sides. See how I did that Merka?
I did.
Murky situation?
I did. That was nice.
You only get that from the Blazinator. I think it's both sides. Both sides are at fault. I don't know what the ideal was with the coaches staff. I don't know what was promised. I don't know how it was rolled out. I don't know if they dropped the ball on something. But at the very least, you should know what kind of player you bringing into your facility. If you're bringing in a hothead type player, you should have done your vetting to know who you're dealing with and how to deal with them accordingly. That's why the Patinos are the great coaches. That's why you got those high level coaches, because they understand Calipari's. They understand individualities and how to connect with these kids, and they don't bring in people that don't work for them in their system. If Merka was going to be a problem, or if you reneged on what you said you was going to do, you should have known his personality and should have gotten in front of this and not make it be as big as it is right now. Now, Merka got some growing up to do. But don't get it twisted. He was going to be your Richmond starting point guard by far. The only guy that came back is Lash, Braylon Lash. He averaged 2.8 assists last year. He also averaged 2 turnovers last year, which means he averaged no assists all year. So Merka is going to be the guy, or was going to be the guy. I don't know if it's past tense, present tense, future tense, I have no idea. But he was brought in to be the guy. I think a lot of signals got crossed, a lot of attitude, got a lot of ego got involved, and here we are.
Yeah, look, I mean, you make the right point, is that there's no real winner. Like, both sides of this argument are losing because
Richmond sucks. They need Ty Merka.
That's it. That's part one of this, right? Is that you're not any of the coaches you mentioned. Like, you can sit here and say you got to have respect for the coaching positions. Coach K would never have this. Coach Calipari would never have this. Even Coach Shire at Duke would never have this. And you're right. They would never have that. But part of that is because their resume demands respect. And it's very obvious that whatever the resume that exists for Coach Mooney does not demand respect. And I would say, if you look at the recent track record for the Richmond Spiders, there's not a lot of reason to say we respect, not that we should disrespect it, because I do think that we've lost the modicum of respect of the position. But you still have to earn that respect perpetually after that. I don't think he's done a great job on the court of earning that, okay, I'm a winning coach, and by playing with me, you'll be put in winning positions. If you're Sean Miller and you're now in Miami, there's a winning culture that you've carried with you at all your stops, including most recently at Xavier. That's the part one. And clearly Coach Mooney doesn't demand the respect that the position should at least earn you. But at the same time, I think if you're a player and I'm looking at a guy and saying, I got told that I was going to be the starter, and then I had to walk in and I had to prove it, that's a fork in the road. And you can either take the route of, okay, I'm going to prove why I'm the best player on this team. Right. You're going to give me that starting spot, not because I just showed up, but because I earn it. Or you could take the route, the Ty Merka route, and went a little bit more nuclear. And to me, that's more concerning. If you're a coach that you want to challenge your players, regardless of what you told them. It's why Tim Duncan was always the one getting yelled at in San Antonio by Greg Popovich. Why? Because he was the best player. And he needed to set the example. You can yell at me. I can take it. I'm the best player on this team. I want the coach to criticize me when I'm wrong. I want the coach to applaud me when I'm right. But I want the coach to come at me. Because if he can come at me, he can come at anybody on this team. And that, to me, is maybe the most concerning part of your Ty Merka. You were told you had a starting spot. Okay, go earn it. Go earn what you were given.
Everybody can't. Unfortunately, everybody can't. Some people got to be dealt with with kitty gloves these days.
Apparently.
The kids are different. The kids are different.
And that's it.
Are different.
Tim Duncan would have welcomed that opportunity. And I think today's kids do not respect Tim Duncan in the way that, like, prime Tim Duncan, like, I saw a video the other day. It was Shaquille O'Neal talking about, and Shaquille will smash on, will dish on everybody in the SWBA, regardless of who they are. You know who he does not?
He's not valid when he talks anymore.
No, he's not. But you know who it's kind of faded. But you know who he refuses to talk smack against is Tim Duncan, because that's how much respect the guy carries. If you're a star player, I think that's the type of bar you need to hold yourself to. And I don't know that Ty Merka was welcoming the challenge of saying, go earn the starting spot. That we said what you want. We think you're going to have the number one spot. Go earn it again. Just go prove to everybody why you're so good. Get better every day instead of just be complacent with who you are.
And let's not get into it. Ty Merka needs his scholarship and a chance to play just as much as Richmond need him on the court. They both need each other desperately, equally. Because if you're Ty Merka, hey, Duke wasn't knocking on my door.
Right. And I mean,
UCLA wasn't knocking on my door.
And he did come out yesterday saying that he had 5 big offers.
Come on,
but
man. Come on,
I don't
man.
know.
Come on, man.
I don't know what that is. Man. Why would you take Richmond then? Continue your point. I'll cut you off.
Was it 5? Was it okay? Let me roll with your theme. You said 5. Let's say he says 5 big offers.
What is that?
Were you gonna be starting on those schools at 5 big offers? Because you can be at the 5 big offer and be the 8th man on the bench.
So the comment that I saw was that he had 5 offers where he was going to be the focal point. Then why didn't you take them? Like, then why did you choose Richmond? I'm not saying that you were right or wrong, that those offers did or did not exist. That's not what I'm arguing about. What I would argue is, then why'd you take Richmond? Like, it's like going to prom with 5 dates. I know that you, Rick, have a great experience in this category.
Of course.
If one chick turns you down, you don't turn around and say, well, I could have gone with any of the other ones. Well, then go with them. No one's stopping you.
Yeah, you chose Richmond. Richmond chose you. I assume you chose them over the other 5 for a particular reason. I think you need to just stop whining. Take your little suspension. Be a great team player during this suspension process. Now is the time you Ty Merka to, you know what? Let me do a lot less of this and more work. I don't need to do all the talking. I'm going to put it on the court, and I'm going to show myself, everybody else in college basketball, and my teammates that they are a better team with me on the court than with me off the court. That's all you do. Be quiet. Let's play some ball. Let your game do all the talk.
And Rick, this is a continuation of and I spoke about this last week in regards to Benari James, who, very outspoken, and then as a freshman kind of went quiet, and the game, he kind of needed to play with that chip on his shoulder. Merka appears that he needs to play with that chip on his shoulder, but there's a line. There's a line between playing with a chip on your shoulder and just being a distraction, right? And we've seen a lot of guys in the SWBA that reaches a point where being a distraction, you're no longer good enough to surpass that. Do you have any concerns with
well, there's a caveat.
Go ahead.
The better you are as a player,
the more
the longer of a line you can.
I mean, James Harden.
You can be.
James Harden's got a lot of distractions. Kyrie Irving, he's got a lot of distractions. He shut up for a little bit. He got his bag, and he's back to being an off-the-court distraction. But the kid, the dude, the man, he's not a kid, can still ball. Do you have any concerns though with like the amount of, like, we keep talking about these incidents, right? Like Merka said yesterday, I'll talk with whoever I want. Like, okay, that's a bit of a distraction. Do you have a concern that that's becoming more prevalent, and this is just something we have to accept as part of the discourse around players nowadays?
I don't have a problem with the kids. There's some kids, like you said, that's part of who they are. That's part of who their game is. You think about the Merkers. You think about the Benari Jameses. You think about the Corey Yamses. Guys is they're going to ruffle feathers. That's part of who they are. There's a two-part component to it. One, I do think there is a line. And the best of the best of the best of them understands that line. They told it very finely, but they understand the line. Or if you're a Draymond Green, you kind of go over the line.
You kick the line. You kick right between the lines.
Yeah, when you hit the line, you hit the line. But the very best of them toe the line very well because it pumps them up, it pumps the team up, it gets into the opponent's head, right? And it helps them to play. I don't have a problem with that. I think also the two-point component is the better you are, the more of that you can get away with.
The further the line away is, yeah.
The further the line is, the more trash you can talk because if it's Dennis Rodman was a great example. The guy would go out and party. He'd be in Vegas till 5, 6 in the morning, come back and get 20 rebounds.
Come back to Chicago.
No one, there's nothing you can say about that. He did his job very, very well at a high level. So I think just like in real life, just like when you guys' kids' life, they are not treated equally. They are not the same. There's no one cookie cutter way to deal with these players. Every player needs to be a one-on-one type of situation. And I think you deal with all of them differently accordingly. That's part of the recruiting process. To know who you bringing in, to know what kind of system you bringing them into. If you got one hot head, you probably can't afford to have another with them. You know what I mean? Like, you got to play it correctly. But I don't have a problem with guys playing with that chip. I understand that, especially people coming from the inner city community. You got a lot of chips on your shoulders, right? So I don't have a problem with that. I just think that two things, if you're going to talk it, back it up, and then have a line. And then once you cross the line, have enough humility to say, you know what, my bad. I went too far. Yeah. Let me reel it back in. I think that's what's really missing.
Yeah.
Accountability.
Yeah.
I think it all comes down to accountability. If I'm Merka, or if I'm a friend of Merka, I'm saying, hey, you did what you did, you said what you did. Go ahead and do a public apology, then shut the F up.
Admit the fault and move on.
And let's go. And it's a dead story now. It's a dead story now.
One guy who
if Ty would have said, I apologize for my part.
I made the mistake. Let's move on.
Yeah. I look forward to get back on the court. If he'd have said that 2 days ago, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it today.
No. And, you mentioned a name, Corey Yams, who I think has done a fantastic job of being an instigator, but doing it in a way that people almost enjoy. They don't tune it out. It doesn't result in suspensions. He's out there talking all the smack in the world, and guess what he is? He's a first-round pick. He might be a lottery pick. He could be a top 10 pick this coming season because he's found a way to use that energy for his positivity, but also not for his detriment, right? He's in a situation where he's saying, this is what fuels me, in the same way that it obviously fuels Merka, that it fuels a guy like Benari James, but I know where the line is. I stop at that line, and I use it.
And you know what's probably as equally more important for a person like Corey Yams is, his teammates don't say nothing bad about him.
Yeah, which matters.
So whatever he's doing
is
not affecting the team.
Right.
So that's the key. You can be a pest, but not to the detriment of your team.
Well,
Make sure your team is all in on whatever, buying into whatever you got going, and so I think that becomes a little bit of a push and shove too. Because when teammates get tired of your act, then it's time. Then you're no good for nobody.
Like that's the Draymond Green case. I mean, Steph, the man that matters most, the two men that matter most in that locker room have not gotten tired of him: Steve Kerr and Steph Curry. Steve Curry.
Not enough to get rid of him for sure.
Yeah, right. I mean, those are the guys that are like, we can deal with it. So clearly,
we'll be all right.
Clearly, what Yam's doing. So real quick, let's close this thing out. AFC South. We can pretty much rule out the Titans in the number 1 pick. We can pretty much rule out the Colts and their decision that they think Daniel Jones might still be a starting quarterback in the SWFL, which leaves us 2 teams: the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, obviously, we are each going to say one of these teams is going to win it. Let's do this. Let's make the case. Why are the Jaguars, in your opinion, and I'll do the Texans, why are the Jaguars, in your opinion, capable of winning? Because I know you won't say they will win. So why are they capable of winning the AFC South? Like, we're playing devil's advocate here. You know, how about this? I'll give you a second to think about it. I'll go first, and I'll give you a second to think it through.
Yeah, so I need some time to think about the Jaguars capable of winning.
I'm a good guy. I'm not just a hater, a world class hater like you. The Texans are capable because CJ Stroud's still a dog. I mean, and I think that you look at what they brought in last season, and they won. They won the offseason last year, right? They get Stephon Diggs, they get Joe Mixon, and everyone's like, whoa! Can you imagine what CJ Stroud is gonna do? I don't think that both of those additions were actually good for this team. I think especially the Stephon Diggs addition was not good for the Texans. But I think the reason that this team is capable of winning the South is because they actually have a legitimate quarterback. I know that there's the Joe Mixon question mark right now based off, is he going to be healthy? He's going to miss the first 4 weeks. Dameon Pierce is a 1,000-yard rusher. I mean, still a really great quarterback. Running back. I think the CJ Stroud there's some souring on Stroud based off of what happened last season. I think that was more so the drama that surrounded this team. And by the way, they still won 10 games and won the division. That's why I think the Texans are capable of, which isn't a hot take, but I think CJ Stroud is still the best quarterback in that division, which isn't really saying much, but at the same time, like it's not wrong, which you better be the best quarterback in that division.
All right, let me tell you why the Jaguars have a chance. I'm gonna make Marsh's day. First of all, is you have a quarterback on your team in Trevor Lawrence who has elite skill sets. He was drafted very high in the draft out of Clemson for his elite skills. It's now or never. I think at this point in time, he's had consistency with the coaching staff, the offense. He got some weapons. He got some running game going on. They got number 1 pick in Travis Hunter. Now, how they're going to play him, offense, defense, I'm not sure about that. I think he's going to have to specialize in one side or the other because that's a lot of tread on the tires trying to get somebody he's kind of frail in size. I would be running him out like 75 plays, nothing crazy like that. But it's now or never for the Jags. I think they're in the right position to break some feelings because everyone's writing them off. The best time to attack is when no one is watching. So they have some receivers. They got Diami Brown from the from the Commanders. Can't say Redskins. From the Commanders. So they got some weapons around them. They have a run in the game. If the defense can hold up, and if Trevor Lawrence can live up to the partial of his billing, he's the biggest X factor. If Trevor Lawrence, if it clicks for him, at some point in time, by week 3, week 4, and he gets a rhythm, hey, the AFC South doesn't always require a lot of wins. Maybe 10 may be the magic number this year. It was last year.
Yeah.
The Texans still have offensive line problems, so we never know with them. So the Jaguars are all but written out, but that's the perfect position to strike.
And 10-7, 10 wins sounds sexy, but when it's a 17-game season, 10-7 could have. But that was an old 9-7. 10-6 used to be really good. Right, and I know that's a small difference between 10-6 and 9-7. There's a difference. 10-7 is it's just a touch better than 9-7.
The ball bouncing your way a couple of games.
Right, that's it.
A field goal position here and there could be. 10.
And look, now the Jags have the best kicker with Cam Little.
The best player for the Jacksonville Jaguars right now
is Cam
Little.
Little.
The kicker, and he can boot that bad boy from 70 yards. So there's no space, no place on the field that he can't kick it from.
I might be targeting him 4th round of fantasy just to, the opportunity. I mean, because you touch the 50 and they might just Liam Cohen by 66.
Line him up.
Take a shot. Let's do it. What's the
Line
worst
him
thing that happens? Our defense sucks
He's the
anyway.
next Janikowski, it looks like.
It seems that way. All right, look, we ended the show with a little bit of positivity. That's what we're bringing to you here on a Wednesday morning. All right, Rick, appreciate you jumping on. Appreciate the conversation. We'll be back with you next week right here on SimWorld TV. Everyone can catch Rick, though, over on Rick Blazing Takes, so make sure you're checking in, obviously, over there. Rick, we'll talk to you next week. We'll talk to you all tomorrow morning right here on SimWorld TV, the only place you can see the game, be the game.